are somewhat professional. They mightn't have actually fully twigged it on their appearance before.
No.
Thanks very much. And Dara, your comments have made it into the live stream. Thanks very much. Brilliant. Well done. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thursday night's edition of Mauls, Balls and All. It is 8:30, so this is your weekly ramblings on all things rugby. Joining me this evening are all familiar faces to you. We have Claire Devaney, we have Dara Weston, we have Peter Martin. And returning to the chat this evening, we have two gentlemen, two greats of the game. They have both represented Ireland and Leinster, and of course, they are both British and Irish Lions. We have Shane Byrne and Nick Popplewell. Gentlemen, how the hell are we? Are you well?
Very good. Very good.
Excellent. Okay. Nick, are you all right there? Is your microphone on mute, or are you still there?
No, I'm not. No, my microphone is grand. Thank you very much. Just
okay.
Shane normally grabs all the attention, so I'll let him away for it.
Now, hold on. The last time, Nick, you were on, you sent me a message going, sorry I spoke so much, so we let you away with that. If you remember. Anyway, are we all good? Claire, Dara, Pete? Yeah, all good?
All good, yeah. All good, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As well as we can't be spared into a weekend of no Six Nations rugby.
Well, we have
the URC.
Well, the URC is back. Gregor Galway, evening all. Hi, Gregor. How are you? Megan Augusta is good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Megan, how the hell are you? Okay. Nick, I want to ask.
I actually have a question. Hold on. The only way tomorrow is Valentine's Day and the URC is on. How do I get away so that I don't have to spend it with my boyfriend so I can watch the URC? Anyone have any ideas?
No idea.
Someone tell me in the comments.
Claire, I'm sure there's a support group for that. Now, going in order of alphabetical order of Christian names, Nick, I'm going to ask you first. Last weekend, we saw round 2 of the Six Nations kick off. Let's take the games. We'll fly through the first 2 and we'll concentrate more on the Scotland-Ireland game. The first game, Italy 22, Wales 15. I don't know if you saw it, Nick, but it kind of obviously was the nail in the coffin for Warren Gatland. What did you think of that particular performance in that game? A 7-point winning margin for Italy. This is their second year in a row, I think, beating the Welsh. Nick, what did you think of it?
I think, it was... I have to feel sorry for Wales, to be honest. They're just in a bit of a quagmire at the moment. I think in Arte, I can't remember, Seamus probably had the latter end of it.
Yeah.
I think the only team we used to beat was Wales, and we used to beat them in Cardiff, and the following year they'd come to Lansdowne Road and beat us. But I think the thing nowadays is, there's no fast fix on this. And you do feel sad because, they're a great side and the characters are great. What can they do? Can they follow maybe the Scots and bring in half of South Africa? But, that's not necessarily it's not a great thing to do. I just felt sorry. I was actually in Dublin. Went up for the weekend to see the kids, and we actually went to Finnegan's in Dalkey. And, it was fantastic there. And I suppose the next match, I've never heard so many Irish people cheering on England because it was just incredible. But anyway, on the Welsh thing, listen, I don't know what they're going to do this. Well, this year is obviously over. Has anyone any ideas how it's going to get better? Will it get better quick? It's just, it took Ireland probably 8 or 9 years to get players through the system, and that's the problem. And I wasn't kind of joking saying, it's time to try and get out there and see who you can drag in that maybe has some kind of parentage, because it's just sad, it's unfortunate at the moment, and very. I think that the players are very. It's just there's just no fun there. You're just kind of, again, you get to the stage where you don't believe you're going to win, and that's, I suppose, similar to what we were years and years ago, and. You get a bad run, or 40 minutes goes by and you're losing, and you just don't feel that you're going to be able to kind of grab it back in the next, in the last 10 or 15 minutes. It's just soul destroying, really, and I think Gats obviously didn't work out from this time round, and not a good move in general. They kind of presumed he was the talisman that was going to bring things together. And sure, listen, it just didn't happen, unfortunately.
But it's very symptomatic. There's a bigger problem there, and it goes right back, unfortunately, to when they set their version of the provinces up, and which they did arseways. Unfortunately, they weren't as lucky as we were, that we already had them set up and everything was fine with the look of the Irish as it is. But they tried to set them up around the major towns and cities, which was a huge mistake, because they forgot about the valleys, which was the hotbed of rugby. And so everybody got their hump about them. And Scarlets were the only ones really who kept any sort of a support base. And the rest didn't. And that's it. And like, it's just been a death of a thousand cuts, just slow and steady. And, this is unfortunately where it is. There's, as Nick insinuated there, like, there's just, the talent just isn't getting bred through the system. And, you just can't build an international side on that. Loads of other things, like Gatton should never come back. It should have been someone else, and they should have moved on a different direction. But yeah, it's symptomatic of a bigger problem.
But was it a question, Shane, that Gatton came back because no one else would have taken that job? Was it as simple as that, or was there more to it?
I think they well, there's probably a little bit of that, but I think he was offered a heap of money to come back before it got to that. It should probably have got ultimately to that they'd asked everybody. But I don't think it did. I think they got a couple of refusals. There wasn't as much interest in it as people thought. And they just went and wrote the check for Warren.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Peter Martin, your thoughts on this. Now, I want to go into a bit more detail about the whole Gatton thing after this, but just on the game itself, Italy 22, Wales 15. I presume you would agree with what Shane and Nick have just said.
Oh, 100%. Look, we've spoken about it, ad nauseum on here, when we're talking about, the poor attendances at when the likes of the Warriors or the Dragons or Clonettley are playing, like Strady Park is a fantastic wee stadium, and you see there's plenty of empty seats there. Like, it's just not the structure in Wales as regards our clubs, their regions, just hasn't captured imagination at all. I didn't see much. I didn't see anything really of the game last Saturday. But just even looking at the stats, I'm fond of the stats. Like, the statistics were absolutely shocking. Like, Italy showed more intent with the ball. Like, was Wales seemed to carry a lot, pass little. It was just such a very conservative game plan, and ultimately it just wasn't. They don't have the. I think one of the things Wales have is they lack a big pack, and they lack it. They're a bit underpowered. They've no props. I think Adam Jones was coming back in as a scrum coach. He's got a reasonable reputation. But look, for all he's managed to do in such a short space of time, he was never going to fix or get a Welsh pack that was likely to dominate or better in many aspects of the physical confrontation, with the opposition pack. Look, there's not an awful lot really more to be said. There's at every single level, it's bleak for Wales. At every single level, it's hard to know. They won't be bouncing back anytime soon. And even Sherritt, who's taken over on a temporary basis, has immediately said he doesn't want this job on a full-time basis. It's a poison chalice. It's an absolute shit show. Who wants to be associated with it? Okay.
Thanks, Pete. I don't want to spend too much time on these. Claire, just briefly about that particular game.
I was glad to see you win. Sad to see Wales not playing well is not good for the Six Nations. It's not. If you keep, we need Wales to play well for a good Six Nations. But if they're not growing the game at grassroots level, it's never going to come back good in Wales.
Okay, Dara Weston, your thoughts, brief thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good performance by Italy, but yeah, Wales are going down the toilet at the moment, and it's, as Claire said, it's bad news for the Lions as well, because ultimately there's going to have to be a couple of Welsh players picked. So You know, are we going to have to carry some
Jack
dead weight
Morgan.
on the tour?
Jack Morgan is one of them.
He was very good. He was very good, actually. Yeah.
Okay, Nick. The second game that we had, a surprise victory, according to everyone, according to your playing colleague or friend or whatever, Victor Costello said that France would beat England last week. Nick, France or England winning that by a point in the dying minutes of that game was. I don't think anyone expected that result, Nick.
No, I don't think they did. No, I don't think. Obviously, well, France didn't expect it. I suppose that was the problem. They just seemed to. They were complacent from the start, and it was just. I mean, what did they do? They spilled 3 or 4 basically try-scoring opportunities in the first 25 minutes. Dupont looked. I've never seen him. Unfortunately, look his ordinary. Just looked peed off, and there was no fight in them. It was just quite peculiar. But hats off to England. England, you know, they played reasonably well. But as I said, I was stuck in Finnegan's and Dalkey, and it was just everyone was cheering.
Oh, God love you, Nick. God love you. I'm sure the points didn't go down well at all. No, that's just terrible.
No, listen, I suppose happy days for us. It takes a little bit of pressure off us still and all. You know, we want to go through and beat everyone. France will not be as bad again. I don't think. What do you think, Shane? I don't. There's no way. They just, to me, they looked as if they presumed it was going to happen.
They were completely lax. Like, you know, Victor said France would win the game. France did win the game, except on the scoreboard. All England had to do and did do was hang on in there. And that's exactly what they did. France butchered so many opportunities. It was absolutely insane to see. And as Nick said, like, in the first 25 minutes, it was 3 or 4 tries that were gone a begging, which they would never do. Dupont was he was just unimpressive at all. One great inside pass for a break, which they eventually butchered as well. And it was just shocking to see. Unfortunately, it might wake them up out of the slumber, because Nick has it right. They expected to win. And they went over there expecting to win, considering what they'd done the last time they had been there. And they just thought it was going to happen again. Now, England, as we know, particularly against Ireland, they have this manic defence, and you know, which can be broken down, but it's manic, very aggressive, and very spirited when it's allowed be. But they usually run out of steam with 20 minutes to go, and that's where Ireland exploited them. But because France were scuppering themselves, they didn't have to do that. And in fairness to them, they just did exactly. What was the lead changed hands how many times in the last few minutes? It was crazy. And we'd love to see them for it to happen again, but I don't think it will. I think that is the worst we'll see France in this Six Nations.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you, Shane and Nick, because this is very interesting to me. You both being there, you played at the highest level. How does it happen, Nick? Nick, maybe I'll ask you first. How does it happen? Is it a head? Is it a mental thing that a player of the quality of Dupont turns up and just doesn't play well? I mean, what is that in the player's psyche? Is it like? What causes that? What drives that? Is it something? Is it a backroom thing? Is it a personal, mental thing? Like, what is it?
He just had the air. He looked as if he was hacked off about something. He was just. It was so unlike him, and I suppose we're so used to him being so bloody good and just leading the way from the start. And maybe, I remember years and years ago, Dean Richards basically led an English team, and once Dean Richards was there, he was a talisman. And Dupont, I think they kind of look up to him and they expect everything from him. And basically, he's going to lead everything. He's going to ignite everything. And he just he wasn't doing anything. And it was as if no one else was behind him to step up to it, because it was flat from the start, and it was flat to the end. It was just if somebody said, Christ, the whole French side were down with food poisoning the night before, you'd say, oh, well, that kind of makes sense. It was as if something across the board had happened.
Yeah. Okay, Shane, what's your take on this? How a player of DuPont's caliber and skill can suddenly just come out? Like, is it just a bad day at the office, or what is
Yeah,
it
well,
that
like,
goes on?
I don't think you can focus on the individual here. This was
Okay.
affecting the team. You know what I mean? Whatever way the prep had gone for the game, a lackadaisical kind of attitude had settled on the team. Like you saw, like DuPont, maybe he does have that much of a ripple effect through the team. You saw earlier on when he was given a pass back outside and he went to catch it one-handed, which was nuts. If he'd caught it two-handed, he had it, and he knocked it on. And you know, it seemed to be right across. I don't think you can settle just on it being DuPont. It was the whole team. There were unforced errors happening right across the board, and it's just, if you want to settle on him, maybe everyone was expecting him to do something out of the ordinary, but I don't think so. I think it was whatever way the prep had gone for that game. They all had expected it to happen. They just forgot that, for it to happen, somebody has to grab the game by the scruff, and no one did.
I actually remember years and years ago, Shane, playing France away, and invariably we were going to be beaten. And yes, we were beaten. But on the way to the match, we passed a restaurant, and all the French side were outside eating. I think drinking wine, as far as I remember, and smoking. And the rest is history. Like, yeah, we competed for about 35 minutes, and then we got absolutely tanked after that. But again,
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, if you're talking about, sorry, Nick, my apologies. If you're talking about people, individual players for teams, that if they don't perform, that team then kind of goes into their shell and they don't perform themselves. Now, there was one other one that just came into my head because I think he's a spoofer. If Finn Russell doesn't play well for Scotland, they don't play well as a team. And you could say, this is the point I'm trying to make about DuPont, that if DuPont doesn't play well, the team doesn't perform well.
Well,
Shane,
the only thing to say there.
sorry, Nick. Go on.
No, I'm just saying it's probably the first time we've seen it happen like that. So, how many times have we seen DuPont have a poor game? That to me was the first time I've actually seen him, so. And maybe the expectation is sure, and maybe that's the complacency. I know Shane is saying it's not up to one person, but I think psychologically you can kind of rely on that a little bit subconsciously, and then all of a sudden, like, it's never happened, God, as far as I can remember, when he's been playing, and then the players around him saying, "Oh shit, like, this isn't clicking. What's happening here?" And then maybe they start losing concentration because they're expecting DuPont to actually do something, and they're not used to maybe having to basically put a foot forward and take a bit of responsibility. But I mean, maybe that sounds very, very simple or simplistic.
I'd agree, Nick, in the sense that, like, look, at any point we've all had individuals who can have massive effects on the game, positively and negatively, if things aren't going well. But I just think that game in particular, that it wasn't like that. I just think there were so many errors that were made, which had nothing to do with it.
I'm not saying they were.
We all said at the start, it just seemed like they expected it to happen. And whether they expected it for DuPont to be the spark and it didn't happen, whatever. But they all just expected it to happen. Everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Shane and Nick. Absolutely. Okay, listen, we just go on to Ireland's excuse me, Ireland's game. Peter Martin, I'll come to you on this now. Albeit these games were covered very well by Danny Brosnan and the folks on Monday, but let's just have a quick chat about Scotland 15, Ireland 32. Very quickly, we found ourselves 17-0 up in Murrayfield, which was a stark contrast to our start against England when it took us about 30-35 minutes to get out of the blocks. Peter, the difference in the Scotland performance and the England performance was quite stark, I thought, in the start of the whole match itself.
Yeah, I would just say as well that this is the second match against Scotland where there has been basically injury-induced chaos in the last couple of years. go back a couple of years, and it was in Edinburgh, I stand to be corrected, that we lost both Dan Sheehan and
2
Ronan
years
Kelleher.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah. 2 years ago, and we had Josh thrown in the line out. Keane Healy went into the front row, and probably based on what happened, Scotland being full strength, I think at that stage, they should have beaten us. I think they should have beaten us. We were just basically hanging on in there with the vagaries of the law. We're down to 7 men in the scrum because somebody had to go off to bring Healy on, and all this kind of malarkey had to happen. And we bet Scotland, and Scotland that day were absolutely fucking terrible. They couldn't react. They didn't react very well that day. They didn't react. And I remember Andy Farrell saying afterwards how he's got his players to embrace the chaos, which is all about basically it's lateral thinking. It's planning for the unexpected, all that stuff, covering all those scenarios. We had something similar again happened last Saturday in Murrayfield. The difference being we had a few injuries with a few ons and offs. Ryan Berg came on for Pio O'Mahony. He got a HIA. Jack Honan came on. Everybody's going, well, who's going to go in the second row for the scrum? All this kind of crap. And meanwhile, Darcy Graham was basically sparked out, and
Knocked out by his own
Russell got a significant bang in the head. And look again what happened. You see Townsend and Tandy sitting in the coach's box with just the arms folded and just the look on their face. I'm just going to say that Townsend is absolutely stealing a living as a coach at this stage.
Oh, I totally. I mean, it's just,
absolutely. He cannot. Yeah. He has failed yet again.
Absolutely, but for some reason,
be unexpected.
Yeah, they just want him there because every time. I mean, Geach or McGeechan every time. He's kind of push. How fantastic! And you're saying, well, Christ Almighty, he just seems to be protected. There's never. I mean, no one has stood up and basically said, lads, have a look and see here. That's the directions coming from Gregor, and it's just no bloody direction. But he just seems to be. I mean, he could be picked for a Lions coach in 4 or 5 years' time.
Oh God, no.
No, but it's just crazy stuff. He just seems to be.
And there was that phase in the game where they had the ball, and the Irish team were lined up on the 22, and Scotland went from right to left. To right, to left. Every time, the only guy who had a bit of thrust, and it was a physical thrust, no guile, was Van der Merwe.
The one trick pony.
Scottish rugby right there, right now. Fucking clueless.
Yeah, but you can't take away guys from the defence either. You know what I mean? Like Scotland have had a lot of success against some other very good sides, and Ireland is their bogey side at the moment. They just can't get the better of us at all. And, against that time when you were talking about it, they're going over and back, which was very obvious. But Ireland's defence was immense. So unbelievably aggressive and all-encompassing. And, it's a mix of both. But, I'm not defending their coaching structure. But, they have had good results against other teams. It's just not against us in that day.
Yeah. Pete, are you... Have you finished your point, Pete? Sorry.
Yeah, we'll just I would just say, look, we did the job that had to be done. I would say, if we're being critical about Ireland, we left 14 points on the pitch, easily 2 tries. Look, I'd say Easterby is the best coach in the Six Nations at the moment. End of story. I think Borthwick got a stay of execution last week against France because France didn't turn up. That experiment of putting, Smith at full back, he didn't get called out. And had France turned up at all, France played very briefly. France played like a team that spent a lot of time in the analysis room without going out in the pitch and fucking putting through the paces right exactly how they're going to beat England. They just turned up and they didn't do anything. They dropped every ball that came their way. They were an absolute shambles. And Dupont, France had been without Dupont before, and they were poor. And yet and all, the most damning thing is he was on the pitch last week, and
he was still poor.
So
yeah, I wish he'd get off the bench there. deal, to be honest. Claire Devney, that Ireland's game against Scotland, what did you make of that? And would you agree with what the gentlemen have said?
Yeah, Townsend should be gone as with Gatland. Should be closely following Gatland out the door. But I think it brings into play that speaking about Scotland game, the injury to Darcy and Finn, it brings into play how relevant the HIA assessment is. He passed the HIA assessment, but he couldn't remember plays, so that's why they didn't get him back on the pitch. So what does that say about what the HIA? What I know, a couple of people were joking of how would you know if he passed the HIA or failed it with kind of because he's a lad, like. But it does bring into question stuff like that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, good point, Claire. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Dara Weston, your thoughts on the round 2 Ireland's game against Scotland in Murray?
Yeah, I think it's already been discussed. I think Scotland looked a bit kind of rudderless without Russell on there. And it was actually, I just assumed, I was watching the Six Nations documentary a few weeks ago, and I just assumed it was Finn Russell being a dick when they said, oh, well, Gregor has the tactics. And he said, oh, well, I don't always listen to Gregor's tactics. But maybe it is like Pete said, that just, what's coming from the coaches isn't good enough. And so the players are kind of having to improvise a bit. But they definitely looked a bit rudderless without Graham and Russell on the pitch. And I think we could have probably got more. I just hope it doesn't come down to points difference at the end and we don't regret not getting more points against them.
All right. Shane, is the talking about that particular game or game against, is the Scottish coaching job, is that heading the way of the Welsh coaching job? In that if Townsend, for whatever reason, got that, no one is going to want to take that job because Scotland are not really. 1 to 8, they're not great. 9 to 15, they've got a few good players.
Yeah,
is it going to go that way?
No, the November internationals, like sure, England or Scotland are doing better in the recent times than they have been for quite a while. You know what I mean? If you're using that standard for it, it's been a dead end job for a hell of a long time. No, I don't think so.
True, actually, that's true.
You know
okay,
what I mean? So they've had some decent results recently, and in recent times, and there are players coming through. There is a debate about selection in some positions, and where in Wales, unfortunately, that's just not the case. And that's the difference. I don't think the coaching structure has anything to do with that. Whether the coaching structure is correct, that's a whole different question.
Would the difference just be there? Would the difference between Wales and Scotland be the fact that the Scottish only have the 2 teams, whereas Wales have the 4 that they have to face?
No.
Well, I suppose Scotland have half of South Africa as well. That probably helps too, doesn't it? And they've used it, great to effect. I mean, that's kind of bolstered them up in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know how many props. I mean, they had 4. I think they had 4 South African props at one stage last year, had they?
They did have 4, yeah.
Yeah. So that's just incredible stuff.
Yeah. Well, listen, we've had our set of invitees as well.
Yes.
Oh, no, you're dead right. Because in fairness, I remember a lot of lads. Sorry, Shane, because I talk because I'm not used to talking. But a lot of lads slagging off South Africa for winning the World Cup. But I mean, there wasn't one foreigner playing for South Africa, so hats off to them, And grand, you can go through our system. It's great.
But the player pool is what the player pool is, Nick. You know what I mean? Like we've 4 professional sides. That's it. You know what I mean? The semi-finals in the Premiership is the sum total of all the professional players in the whole of Ireland. Scotland's smaller. It's
just on that note, now, right? Because it's kind of topical today or yesterday. London Irish being taken over.
Yeah.
You kind of wonder.
Jesus, that was the next thing I was going to talk about. Come on.
He's preempting you there. He's preempting you.
It wouldn't be like me anyway. But,
come on, Nick. Come on,
somebody's a bit of a swat and obviously read the email Peter sent out.
Anyway, no. I know it has been used that we are short of probably a couple of teams, and I suppose if we had somewhere over in the UK like London Irish years ago, maybe where we could kind of use it as some kind of. But I know the cost is astronomical.
Back in the Byrne 90s, Nick, sure, we had a huge amount. Sure, Mallow Kelly was bred over.
Yeah,
Gabriel Fulcher. There's so many. Niall Hogan, Justin Bishop. There's so many guys that came through the ranks there, and were very important to Ireland. But like, I think it's a great idea, and like the insinuation or the hint that they might look to get into the URC as well, I have no issue with that whatsoever. Like,
I think that's a great idea, Shane.
Like,
I think that's a great idea,
and like
Shane.
that we have somewhere where a kid who isn't making it here can go and feed and fill another team over in London. Like, there's a huge amount of Irish base. Like, it would be obviously not just purely Irish. It'd be great if it was, if the RFU did step in. They had their opportunity a few years back. They didn't take it. But there's huge opportunity. There's only positives that can come from that, put it that way, for Irish rugby.
So would it be class, kind of, Shane and Nick, that if London Irish were to relaunch and Eddie Jordan and his would be, and his crew would be, it's not the Saudis. There's no proof, Claire, that it's the Saudis.
I did not say Saudis. I said cronies.
Oh, cronies. Sorry,
there's a difference.
But you do think it is the Saudis. But come here, gentlemen. This, Shane and Nick, would this be classed as the 5th province? If London Irish were to get back on track, they cleared their 30 million debts they had. They went out of business the same time as Wasps and Worcester. Like, would we see it as that? Would the 4 provinces here, would the IRFU see it as London Irish, the 5th province, they're in the URC, grand, job, perfect. We can swap, change, send players over on loan or whatever the hell it is. What would you reckon, Shane?
Only if the RFU properly stepped in on it, because for it to be a 5th province, you understand is that we need player management in it, which is obviously makes it a little more difficult, because if it's an independent entity, they would want to play like the difference between the Irish provinces and say the teams that play in the English Premiership is the Irish provinces mind their assets. They take care of them, who are the players, where the English they sweat their assets. They want them playing week in, week out, and that's the difference. And so if we could find a balance there, with if they were in the URC, it'd obviously be a lot easier. And if Ireland could help feed them and to keep them well propped up, I don't see why not. It'd be great if it was, but listen, we're a long road from that, for figuring out for a 5th province. Hopefully it's not a long road to get them playing, but to be a 5th province, to be hurdles, but not things that couldn't be surmounted, put it that way.
Well, I don't think you could suddenly, like, as you say yourself, there's not bar some of the names that are going into it. There's not an IRFU involvement here. I mean, you can't just suddenly presume this is going to be a 5th province. Well, why? Because, lads, you're not forcing any go onto it,
But if the IRFU, gentlemen, if and ladies, if the IRFU were to take a stake in London Irish, now this has not been mentioned, I might add, but if they were, that would have to be seen as a positive, though.
Yeah,
but certainly, well, I mean, you're talking about, and I know it was muted that some of the Irish. Isn't there something happening in the States now where some of the Irish coaches are going over there to spread the love? Is that right? Was that mentioned?
Yeah. Oh, come here, hold on, Nick. I've a topic on that. We'll come on to that.
Nick obviously did read the email that got sent out.
Nick read the message.
If
I didn't even read it.
Danger of. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
I didn't even know we got an email.
Oh, for Christ's sake, Jesus Christ! Sorry, Nick. Go on.
I wasn't saying anything. I don't know what I was saying.
Wait. Oh, sorry. Dara.
Would there be an element of stepping on the RFU toes if the IRFU got involved in a club, took a stake in a club in their geographic region? I mean,
I'd say there's millions of questions, but I also think like it's not I mean money wise, I mean it's an astronomical commitment to try and maybe to bring another province up to a reasonable level, and it does take some backing, and you can't just, I don't think anyone over there, I don't think Eddie Jordan, the lads are going to just let it be used as a kind of I suppose some kind of a babysitting club just to throw players out when it suits and then take them out when it suits, because that's not a club.
I would wonder, just as a curious thing, if they went into the URC. I don't know why, I can't back this up for any particular reason, but I wonder would their attendances be higher than they would be if they're in the Premiership? Because there's a huge Irish contingent over there.
Yeah,
and a lot of
They
staff.
go the line that we're talking. Like, the big problem with the Premiership is that it's built on straw, because it's all about the BT Sports, the Sky, look at this amazing thing. But everyone does, they buy into it, but they watch it at home. They watch it at the pub. They don't go to the flipping game. That's the problem, where the Irish provinces, they do go to the game. And I just wonder if it did go the fifth province line. We're a long way from that.
Yeah.
But, would their attendances be higher? I think they would.
That's a good question, Shane. Yes, that's a good question.
And I think on that, Shane, it would be one of the venues. London would be one of the few venues where the South African teams coming over would get big away support.
They'd love it. Yeah,
because there's a lot of staffers in London as well.
Huge
so,
amount,
you'd be guaranteed attendances for those 3-4 games as well.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Well, hold on. But do London Irish have a ground?
Yeah.
But do they still own it, though, Shane? Do they still own the
yeah,
ground?
Mick Crossan, the previous owner, had set this up, and I think I don't know whether the lease is still there, whether it died with the professional entity or not. I don't know, but I'm sure it's something that could be revived. It seemed to be a perfect mix,
Yeah, no, true, Shane. Yeah, I agree. Peter Martin, your thoughts on this particular London Irish coming back and Eddie Jordan, which, by the way, I meant to say, I was reading today, I was not aware of this, that Eddie Jordan is not a well man.
No,
he hasn't been well for a number of years. Yeah. His health isn't good. But just coming back to the point, I would have thought that if the IRFU were going to get something out of it, they would have. You would like to think they would have did some homework on it, and if there was something, we would have heard about some sort of co-venture, some sort of stake, if it was a case that it was possible for the IRFU to kind of effectively seed Irish players who are kind of struggling to get into the front lines with their respective provinces. Look, like that, if they get into, if somehow they get into the UFC, I think that would be amazing, because I think that, like as the lads have already said, the attendances for the South African teams and then with the Irish provinces should be like basically the family getting back to meet family almost at some of these games. I'm sure there'd be great atmosphere at it. Plenty of points sold and good crack and whatever. Like, because London Irish always had a kind of a good atmosphere, communities thing. I remember years ago as a young fella reading Rugby World magazine, and you had, what's his name, the English back, Mick Skinner, going around all the grounds doing his reviews, and London Irish was like 10 out of 10. Great point, great pie, and great people. That was his kind of thing, like, so, and I would imagine Jordan getting in, he's not going to do it lightly. He'll make sure that, look, there's going to be a local band, there'll be a good band playing, like, as post-match entertainment, and there'll be, be all singing, all dancing kind of act before, there'll be a top atmosphere. It'll be done properly. But as regards it being a fifth province, I just can't necessarily see it be that really coming to fruition. Like, because like I said, I do think that the IRFU would have had a good look at it. Humphreys would have had a look at it. Him being a link, him being an ex-London Irish guy, he'd have fantastic insight. And if IRFU aren't touching it, there must be too many red flags.
Right. Okay. No, that's a fair point. Yeah. Claire, any thoughts on this?
Well, you know, but for some reason, after reading about it, I think it's coming. I think they're coming out of the Middle East, and I don't know why. It's just a little thing in the back of my head, thinking that it's like Saudi, Qatar or.
Why do you
But
think the Saudis are involved in this?
I don't know. I don't know why. It's just when I was reading it last night, it was just something. It's the wording of the way the statement is made, and it's kind of that they're putting Eddie at the front of it because it's a conglomerate and multinational, and I'm kind of going, yeah, I think it might be. Now hopefully I'm completely wrong. Okay, hopefully I am completely wrong. It will be great to. Yeah, hopefully I am, because we all know how we feel.
I think you maybe. I think you might be wrong on this. Dara Weston,
Yeah, well, maybe.
Any thoughts on this? Thanks, Claire.
I mean, from what Claire said, it's not beyond reasonable doubt that the Qataris might try and get involved. You know, I mean, they're going to have the championship competition.
Thank you, Darren.
So, I mean, Eddie Jordan is great for getting blood out of a stone. I mean, he can get money from anywhere. I remember when he set up Jordan, he basically bullied Board Falcha into sponsoring the cars as well.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, he if anybody could get around the IRFU, I think it'd be him. But then, you know, Richie Murphy and the lads in Connacht might have something to say also about the fact of, you know, players being shipped over to London before, you know, Leinster's surplus going to London before going to Ulster or going to Connacht. So, yeah, look, and I think the whole thing of, you know, the RFU might object to any kind of IRFU involvement in it also, because it's, at the end of the day, it's an English club, you know, it's not an Irish
club. And the other thing too is I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, at the moment, things are going very, very well. And obviously all the sites now are having to win this next World Cup. You know, this is the one they're going for. That's probably half the reason, or one of the big reasons why Prendergast thing has been pushed probably a little bit quicker now than maybe it might have been. You know, I think we need that little bit of risk taking now, because I think, no disrespect to Crowley, but you know, if Prendergast can keep on the improvement scales and what he's doing, you know, we need a superstar like him. I think, you know, just to make the difference, really, you know, just to add that little bit of spice to it.
I'll tell you, Nick.
I don't know how I brought that up. That's
I've no idea. Sure. Why do any of us bring any of this stuff up? Nick, I was listening to Ronan O'Gara say that I don't know if you'd agree with what O'Gara said, Nick or Shane or anyone, that at the moment, at his age, Sam Prendergast is ahead of where O'Gara was at his age, and Sexton, although I think Sexton was a bit older when he got his thing. What would you say to that, Nick?
No, I know Sam now, he was playing with Lansdowne, my young fella there years, you know, whatever, 2 or 3 years ago. And I mean, people say, oh, this, I mean, a gobshite could see that he was a class above anyone, and his confidence is just, for an 18-year-old, I think at the time, just the confidence is just incredible. Like, it's just, you know, he makes a mistake, he just picks himself up. Like, I suppose hindsight, you can see Perot Frauls there had a couple of, you know, he had a disappointing match there, but couldn't pick himself up out of it, which is always a problem. Yeah. And you know, I remember years ago, I used to, when I was playing with Newcastle, I was living beside who was the Irish goalkeeper at the time?
Shay Given.
And yeah, he'd talk to you, meet the lads after a match on a Saturday, and he basically had a coach. The goalkeepers had a coach who would be around the goal every time they let in a goal. The coach would be there putting, you know, just basically distracting, you know, so everything, you know, you're really fighting for the next play. You know, you just can't think of missing that drop goal or missing the penalty or fucking putting a kick out wide. It was just, anyway. Again, where did that come from? Sorry, Shane. Even your.
I have no idea. You're Mr. Tangent tonight, Nick.
We won't mention knocks in the head or anything. We won't. That's probably a bit too more talk.
No. Shane Byrne, would you agree with what Ronan O'Gara said about Sam Prendergast, that he is ahead in his game where O'Gara was at his age? Excuse me. At his age, and so, go on, Shane.
No doubt. No doubt. Ronan only became Ronan with the Ireland setup, with the Humphreys and himself. You know, the real competition that came there, and that's when he came into his own independently around the Munster setup as well. That's when they had that run.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it took a long time for him to get there, and you know, obviously we all know what he did. But like, No, Nick has said it right though. Is that like from an Irish point of view, he's probably been pushed a lot faster and harder than normally a player of his ability is, particularly in 10, because we do have a little bit of pressure of the World Cup. There could be an eye on that, but like I was delighted to see him. What made this happen to me, and obviously there's been words said, was that plain and simply when Leinster started to pick him 1 week after the other, no rotation. That was what was needed. And Ireland now doing the same thing. That's what's needed. The way it's set up at the moment is exactly the way it should be. And, he is going to be, we can see the way he has that confidence in himself. He has that way to attract defenders, and he's willing to take the ball to the line, as Sexton did 1,000 times. And he knows he's going to get absolutely minced, but he's willing to do that, to draw the defense. And that's the way Ireland play at the moment. That's what we need. Like, we just need a guy who's willing to do that, to produce these, to put the defenses under so much pressure. And he's an amazing talent, and long may it continue. But stick with him. Just stick with him. That's the key.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm not disagreeing with a lot this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Right, okay. I'm gonna ask Shane and Nick. Right, okay. So we're praising high praise for players on Ireland. Nick, I gotta ask you first: are Ireland going to win the Grand Slam or the Championship?
I think you'd have to say the Grand Slam.
Oh,
which is best?
When you beat every team.
Yes.
Can you see France upsetting? Like, are they going to come back and go, well, here, look, we're not having this?
No. Ireland are just, because Ireland, I think they're at the stage now. They're beyond it. They're just not going to lose. They're just able to sort things out on the pitch no matter what. And I just, that's, a simplistic way of doing it. Yes, France are going to come back, but it's just, we've Jameson Gibson Park there, who's playing as good as he probably has been for the last 3 or 4 years. He's kind of picked himself up. Now, there is a few positions there. I'm not going to go through it. You kind of say, could do better a little bit, but yourself as a combination and as a team, they're doing very, very well. That's kind of an obvious thing to say, isn't it?
No, I have a funny feeling of some of those positions you're referencing, but we won't go down that particular rabbit hole.
Peter, you don't answer that question.
No,
you don't answer your own. No. Yeah, no, you don't answer your own question, because whatever you say will be the opposite that'll happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Shane Byrne, go on. Same question I asked Nick. Do you think we will win the whole thing?
I'm not going to, tempt fate at all in either shape.
Oh, come on, Shane.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let me put it this way: is that we're in the nice position now, as it has been for the last while with Ireland. It's completely in Ireland's hands. If Ireland go out and play the way Ireland want to play, France won't beat them. And I'd be convinced of that now, not just because of the mess they made of England. They're going to come back. They're going to be. February 8th is going to be a fantastic bloody game, or March 8th. But I honestly think there's a ruthlessness in Ireland. The way Ireland weathered the storm against England, that all-out defence, and just clicked into gear when the opportunities arose. Like in that first half, under the cosh into their English 22 in the first score, ruthless efficiency. And the defense, the fitness of the team is just outrageous. Obviously led by the, Doris and the machine that is Van der Fleer. These guys just don't stop. Gibson Park, as Nick was alluding to, like his fitness levels must be off the chart. He's just.
The only thing I'd say, Shane, it goes, if something happens to poor old Porter, we're fucking done with ducks. Like,
I was going to get to that.
How he keeps going is just,
he's in his absolute prime. You know what's annoying the head off me, Nick, with him, is that refs still don't know how to ref him.
Yes, exactly.
Wrong calls against him every
Yeah,
time.
but
And he is scrummaging. He
yeah,
is
but
scrummaging at
it's
80%.
that's quietly going. I
He's
mean,
scrummaging at 80%.
yeah,
Because he's afraid to give away the penalty because
but he
refs.
doesn't. But I
just
mean,
go
he doesn't
against-
need. But you're better off. I mean, the scrum is looking strong now for the first.
Yeah.
It's probably looking the strongest I've seen it in years. And I think maybe it's because of that. Because Grant, it's very easy, you know, for one player to basically try and take on somebody to the detriment of the seven behind them. But there is more of a kind of a balance there, and really that's what you want, because
Yeah,
I think the visual message that's going out, it seems to be the referee when it comes to the, you know, the 2% of extra, whatever. It is getting that message across, and I think he's being a lot more. You know, there's times you're looking at him; he's so bloody wild-eyed, you know, over the years, and you can't say shit, like, you know, calm down. But it just seems to be a kind of a, I'm not going to say an aloofness, but just being a little bit more clever, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Porter, I think he's unique, as you have both said. I think Porter is one of these very few props, very few. I'm trying to think of another one here and I can't, who is an 80-minute game player. An awful lot of times, we all know it, you'll see the front row changed after 60, 55, 40.
55.
Whatever it is, minutes. But Porter just seems to have this bloody doggedness about him and his fitness that he would go the full 80 and not a bother on him, you know. But yes, I would agree, Shane, what you were saying. His scrummaging is, he gets pinged by refs, and I don't think, Shane, I think you said it there, refs don't know how to deal with him, to be honest with you. Okay, Peter Martin, we're coming up to 52 minutes. Okay, we're running out of time here. Peter Martin, quickly, what I asked. Yeah, well, that's true. What I asked Shane and Nick, Pete, is this ours to take this Grand Slam? I think I said the championship as well, which I probably got wrong. But the Grand Slam, I mean.
Yeah, I'll just answer your question, Ernest. I just wanted to ask the two lads there. Our previous, just rolling back a couple of weeks, we had another Irish legend and line on, Paul Wallace. And poor old Paul, after, I think it was covered in the papers and probably by various different commentators and observers in the game, they always said that after South Africa, Paul Wallace, when he was up against, if there happened to be a South African referee, he got whistled off the park. Would you agree that he got a raw deal?
Oh, that's right, yeah, he did.
Oh, no doubt. I propped him for years, and he would have gone on to be an absolute scrummaging legend if he hadn't shattered his ankle. That was, what happened. And fairness to, he played on with it, but he was a very technical, wise scrummager, and he was, I've often seen him in games where he wouldn't do well at the start of the game. But by the end of the game, he had the guy in knots, and he had a repertoire to go through. But yes, he was never the biggest guy, and particularly as he got the irk of any South African referee, obviously they'd go against him, because against the Osterrand mountain that he was. But a technical scrummager can get pinged a lot because they're doing things that isn't just straightforward, and it's different nowadays. They've taken a lot of the art out of scrummaging, but he could get it, but left to his own devices, he'd find a way all the time. It was a great talent that he had.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, coming back to your question, Peter, I think the thing with the Irish team at the moment is we're trending this way. Like the last time we won, when we played France in the opener. When we won, when we bet France in that absolute cracker of a game, with Pinot scoring that, end-to-end try, and Ringrose getting in the try that literally visibly broke the French towards I think it was in the 70-something minute. In that year, we basically went that direction performance-wise. We basically started off strong and effectively played crap, really. Like the performances were only meh. We got by against everyone. But this time we're going that way. So I think we're only, like, as Shane has already kind of alluded to, like if we keep going in the right direction and we get the good start against France and we don't get hit with an absolute catastrophe of freak injuries or something, we will beat them. And I think it will be ours.
Okay, Claire, Devney. Your thoughts?
I'm not
Is
tempted.
it ours to lose or ours to win?
It's ours to lose, but I'm not tempting fates. Take it. You take the games. You take the games as they come.
Okay.
You take the games as they come. The 8th will be the if we get through France. I reckon we have the Grand Slam. But that's the big if we get through France, because France may bounce back after last week and may be out to take Erskine. Because last year we were on line for the Grand Slam and then England best.
Yeah.
And I think last
Okay.
year we all thought we were going to get the Grand Slam.
And hopefully I'll be at the game on the 8th of March. Fingers crossed. Dara Weston, what do you think about all this?
I think, firstly, not wanting to come across as off the ball, we should probably state that Wales still have a chance of going for the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
But joking aside, yeah. Look, I mean, it'd be great if it was a toss up between Grand Slam or getting the maximum amount of Irish players on the Lions Tour. I'd take the maximum amount of Irish players on the Lions Tour. So,
but it looks like that's going to be the case. Sorry, Dara. Yeah, no, sorry, Dara. I don't mean to cut across you, but it looks like that's going to be the case anyway. That the majority of the Lions team are first test, proper test.
Yeah, but not if
Australia.
Not if we pick up injuries. He says, trying to find wood somewhere to touch. Giggity. Yeah, like it's look. There's an element of preservation as well. I know players don't go out because you can never play less than 100% because that's when you can actually get injured. Is trying to hold yourself for whatever. But yeah, look, I just want everybody to make it through the Six Nations unscathed, and play their best, and then see them pulling on the Lions shirt against Australia.
We do have to be careful though, everybody. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that'll improve Welsh rugby better than stuffing it up to Ireland in their first home game.
Yes, yeah.
This is their first home game.
I know, but and Shane,
no, but hang on for a second. We've got to give them a bit of respect as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing when guys, their backs are against the wall, how many times, as Nick knows, that against the odds, you'd pull out a win, when everything else was against you. And so that's not going to be the best preparation running into France, whatever way that goes. Let's hope it goes really well. Then we have France, and then we've got another issue to get over, going over where the expectations is going to be that it should be a very positive game. But you've got a side that, are scrapping like hell at the moment, and they're improving all the time. So there's a lot of water to go under the bridge yet. And but look, as I said, but the one thing we should be happy in the scenario of, if Ireland play well in any of those games, we'll win.
Yeah.
No, I think Gilroy certainly hasn't helped us by saying, about 12-man Ireland could beat Wales, because that's just giving them ammunition. That's just making the Welsh mad, and they're going to want to come out and try and get their one win, even if it's their only win in the Six Nations, and they still get the wooden spoon. At least they can say they beat Ireland.
Yeah, but it's also
can I clear something up? Sorry, Nick. Can I clear something up? I hate this. You only get the wooden spoon if you don't win a game. Coming last doesn't give you a wooden spoon. It's the same as the Grand Slam. You can only get that if you win every game. The championship is different. The wooden spoon is only given if you lose every game, not coming last.
Yeah, sorry,
bugbear.
Yeah. I was going to say,
spoons I have.
Yeah.
No, hold on. We're coming up to the hour mark. We're fast approaching time up. But what I just wanted to, we briefly just touch on this, and then we'll go into our who do you think win, lose, or draw for the URC games coming up next weekend. Nick, tackle school, what is the bloody point of it? The reason I'm asking is because now Entermac, I'm only bringing him up because he's the most recent, but there's been countless examples before him about this. Countless. What is the bloody point of tackle school when you get red carded, you're banned for 6 weeks or 6 games, whatever the way the ban works, but it's reduced to 3 because you go to tackle school? I wrote about this. What is the bloody point of it?
Well, I suppose the point of it is, it's probably the same point. You issue somebody a red card in a game, and you're 15 and playing against 14, sure, you're nearly getting up out of your seat and saying, listen, it's not going to be a game anymore. What's the point? So I think, it's just to try to soften the blow a little bit. So it's watering down. I mean, why not insist that everyone tackles below the waist and just that's it, full stop? But the point, I think the issue, I think, with the way the high tackles are going, I think the player with the ball is beginning. In my belief is you're nearly looking at lads laughing when they're running into somebody and their head is moving in the direction and trying to cause a red card or a yellow card. I think that's the ruling now has basically it's problematic because if you can get a player off the field for 20 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, it's a huge advantage. So I think there's an awful lot of there's a lot of fellas playing it. You play to the rules, and if you can get away with it, so be it. But I think that's a huge factor at the moment.
Okay, all right, Shane.
So what do I think of tackle school? That's an absolute. It's just a visual aspect. I'd say the lads are laughing. It's like you were caught stealing. Let's go and sweep the roads for 3 weeks. There you go. You won't go to prison. You know what I mean? It's just doesn't make any sense. Like it's just optics.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Shane, would you agree with Nick? And I totally agree with Nick, and it's what I said when I wrote about it. I just think tackle school. What is the bloody point of it?
It's a box ticker. That's all it is. It's a box ticker. There's nothing more to it. Like, everybody knows what it is. Nobody thinks it's anything other than that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like everyone knows what it is, and it's just a way of, reducing your sentence so that they can slap down the 6 weeks. Holy shit, that was serious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That will do the old tackle school. You'd be grand. Like it is what it is. It's far from perfect the way the game is at the moment, and they're making it more complicated the more it goes on. And like this is just another box ticker. And everyone knows it. And
I remember years and years ago, I wouldn't hit many people now when I was playing, but I hit somebody. Who was he? He was a second row for Scotland. Scott Murray, I think, was his name. Mm-hmm. And he was acting the maggot against poor old Doddy Weir, and you can actually hear it when I was in front of the court or whatever the powers that be. I warned him about 7 or 8 times, saying, "Listen, Scott, one more time now." And I think Steve Lander was the referee. Anyway, I split him, and I got basically I got 13 weeks, a 13-week ban, which sounded absolutely astronomical. But what people didn't realize, it ran through the summer holidays because it was the end of the season. So really, the optics were there. 13 weeks for basically giving somebody 30 stitches. But
I've seen the Gangster fans do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, folks, we're over time. I just briefly, there's 4 games coming up that the Irish provinces are involved with. What we do is every week it's win, lose, or draw. I don't think we know the teams for team selections for some of them, but we just fly through them. Who do you think is going to win? Is it going to be a loss or is it going to be a draw? Claire Devaney, I'll come to you first on this. First up, we have what? We have Ospreys. Sorry, go on.
I was having a drink. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, sorry. No, you're all right. We have Ospreys are entertaining Leinster.
Leinster.
Right. We have Benetton are entertaining Ulster. That could be a good game.
Oh, are Benetton at home?
Yes.
Benetton could. They've been playing well. Yeah, I'll go with Benetton.
All right. Munster are at home to Scarlets.
Munster.
Okay. And lastly, Connacht are at home to Cardiff.
Connacht.
Okay. Dara Weston.
Yes.
Ospreys at home to Leinster.
Leinster.
Okay. Benetton at home to Ulster.
I will say Ulster because Benetton, although Zebre provide most of the Italian team, Benetton still have a few players in camp who aren't being released. So I think Ulster can actually do it.
Okay. Munster are entertaining Scarlets.
Okay. Even though I don't want to say it, I'm contractually obliged to say Munster or the wife will kill me. So
that's because you're married to a reporter.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Okay. And Connacht are entertaining Cardiff.
Connacht at home. Yeah,
Yeah.
look, I'll go with Connacht.
Okay. All right, Nick. Ospreys are up against Leinster. Who's winning that in your mind?
I'd like to think Leinster might just about roll them over.
Okay. Benetton at home to Ulster.
No, I'm going to give Ulster a nod there. I know they've been struggling a bit, but no, listen, no. Good old Richie, give him a chance.
Okay. Munster entertaining
Munster.
Scarlets. I presume that's in Thomond.
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks, Shane.
Munster,
All right. Okay.
all the way.
Munster for that one. Okay. And lastly, Nick, Connacht are entertaining Cardiff.
Connacht.
All right. Shane,
I
up to
think
you.
it'll be a good weekend for the Irish provinces. I think the Munster teams are struggling as above them, and the Italian side have some vital players missing, as was said earlier on. And I think that's going to be a good weekend all around for the Irish provinces.
Well, Connacht and Ulster need wins, Shane, though. To
Connacht in particular, badly. Yeah.
Yes.
Remarkable considering what they've done in Europe.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so are you going for all Irish wins, Shane?
All Irish wins, yeah. Yeah.
All right, okay. Peter Martin, Ospreys, Leinster, who's winning that?
Leinster.
Okay, Benetton are playing Ulster.
Have the back Ulster on that one.
I'm on my own on that one.
I think Benetton will. Anyway, sorry, I'm not allowed to.
And that means Ulster are going. That means Ulster are going to win. That means Ulster are going to win.
Okay,
First
thanks, yeah, Peter, Munster entertaining Scarlets.
Yeah, I think Munster will do. Will have enough.
I'd say that could be a high-scoring game with Munster winning that. Okay, and lastly, Peter, and we'll end it on this. Connacht are entertaining Cardiff.
I'm going to piss off all Connacht fans by saying Cardiff will beat Connacht for the simple reason it's probably Matt Sherritt's last game in charge of Cardiff, and they'll send them out in the high with a win in Galway.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all. We've gone over time per usual.
As usual.
Thanks to all of you for watching, all your comments. I couldn't get around to a lot of them. Couldn't read them out because just too much going on here. But thank you for doing that. We will be back again on Monday with Danny's show, and then the following Thursday we will do this all again. My thanks to Claire Devney, Dara Weston, Peter Martin, and our two returning guests who are more than welcome, and we were delighted to have them. It's always a pleasure to have them on. Shane Byrne, excuse me, and Nick Popplewell. Gentlemen, thank you. Claire, thank you, and we will do it all again next week. Enjoy the rest of your evening, folks, and thanks a million.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Right, thank you.
Take care, boys.
Thanks, bye.